Happy moment to you. So, playing off this idea that I talked about yesterday, the idea that the other side of the veil is pushing all this energy, like we've been talking about, into the moments and creating synchronicities to be instructional, not destructive. No, that's not the right word. To be instructive, not destructive, but actually things that happen that are unsettling or bubble up, they're instructive. They're not destructive. And if something happens, if there's synchronicity of things, stop and look at that and think of, if I don't react to it in anger or frustration or irritation, what might I learn from it? What might the other side of the veil be creating through these seemingly random events? So this happened about a month ago, and I had gone into a T-Mobile to try to get something helped with my phone. And I'm of the age where if there's a little tiny thing wrong with my phone, I don't understand it. I just get, don't have any real abilities to handle it. And I have always found T-Mobile people to be so kind. When I go into the stores, they just sit down with me and they do the simplest of things. And they're like, oh, no worries. So that was my expectation going in. And I was met with a very different kind of reaction from this man who was the manager, ended up being the manager, who was no reason to go into the details, but he could not have been more unhelpful, disrespectful, unkind, just nasty. So I got in my car. I left, got in my car. As I was backing out, this car kind of came speeding up the parking lot right behind me and then stopped. So I couldn't back out. Oh, that's strange. So I think I waited a second, honked my horn. It didn't really move. Honked my horn again. Finally, it kind of moved. Then I was in a parking lot that was kind of small. It was kind of one of those, storefronts here, and then small parking lot, one-way sort of thing. So I pulled out, started going, and another car, a second car, was kind of speeding this way, coming towards me, and just blocked my way. What is happening? This, got my attention, two cars. And then there was a third event. That car, she just stopped. I was like on my horn. She wasn't moving. I thought maybe she was actually in distress. So I was getting out of my car to see if she needed a tow or a push. And then she moved. And then a third exact sort of thing when I was trying to get out onto the service road. This, huge truck, like F450 or F550 or something, pickup truck, huge truck, came right up to where I was pulled out and put its grill right in my window. Really dramatic, aggressive sort of things. And so I thought, okay, I got to kind of a little area where I could pull over, because I thought there is something instructive. Let me go back over what has just happened, because I'm aware enough to know, okay, something, good is coming from this, good is coming from this. What is it, though? Because this seems really upsetting. So when I replayed the T-Mobile event, because it kind of started there, right? I realized when I got in my car, I was feeling so hurt and not heard, and angry and upset, and anger is a secondary emotion. Watch that class. So the primary emotion was hurt, not heard. I wanted to call T-Mobile and explain to them how horribly that man treated me, get him in trouble, because I was so angry, so hurt, unheard. And then I immediately thought, in that moment when I was wanting to call and report his behavior, oh no, I had this little voice, not the spirit voice. Remember, we have to identify our voices, but this little sort of bully, fear voice saying, oh no, Leslie, that'll get you in trouble. Your side of the street is a mess. You don't want anybody looking at your side of the street. You don't want anybody calling out you. So you better just shush and go on down your road. So that was kind of the conversation in my head. I became aware of that when I started to kind of pull back and look at what had happened with the T-Mobile right after that, before these events with these 3 different cars. And then I had this little gentle download, which the gentle, soft download was Leslie. You don't have to be in fear. You're not doing anything. You haven't done anything that you could get in trouble for. You're allowed to call the T-Mobile. You don't have to be mean about it or mad about it. You can be instruction. You can make it an instructive conversation, right? Explaining, hey, I just want some training for this guy, because clearly he's missing the T-Mobile, what we do, because I'd been around T-Mobile employees so much. That was not how they train their employees. But it was out of my kind of fear. So there was my fear of, I'm not allowed to stick up for myself because I'm bad, was the trauma message that I was giving myself. And then the universe put all these things in my journey. Bam, 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 bam. Get my attention, get my attention, get my attention. Okay, let me start breathing. What's happening here? Okay, wait. No. I don't deserve bad things. I don't have to put up with people that aren't treating me kindly at the T-Mobile store. I can call. So I sat in this little park area that I had found to pull over. And I called T-Mobile. And I explained to the woman that answered I had a concern. I said, I just am looking for some training. And I said, I love T-Mobile, and I'm sure he was having a difficult day, but he needs to understand this is an important thing, especially being the manager. And she was really so endearing. After our conversation, she said, this is the most pleasant complaint I've ever taken. And I said, well, that's good, because it's really not meant to be a complaint. It's meant to be information. Let's help this guy out. I'm not wanting to get him in trouble anymore, right? Because that was coming out of my fear. So the universe put all these things in my way to get my attention to stop. What's happening? And then the peaceful knowing, you get to take up for yourself, sweet Leslie. It's okay. But again, those events weren't random. Those cars doing those things was not just strangeness. It was the universe. It was spirit. It was the other side of the veil in this dance with me. All the instruments in the orchestra, here and there, playing the music. Am I looking for it to be destructive or instructive? I think those are the right words, right? So, take a breath. I will as well. And let's look at how the universe is speaking to all of us through synchronized events. Synchronized swimming. Synchronized events. Love you.